What up, everybody? Today, we're talking to dog football creator and Judo Baby founder Dan Mueller on
The Dingus and Dingus podcast.
Starts now!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of the Dingus and Dingus podcast. I'm Floyd.
I'm Matt, and this is our buddy Dan Mueller,
honorary dingus for the day.
has an amazing mutant ability to be able to spin anything on his finger.
Oh, this is true. Do I have anything functional at hand? Probably I do.
We should have prepped.
No. This lets me lean off screen for dramatic effect. All right, this is a big book, so I would normally use something much smaller.
There we go, baby.
I don't mean to flip you guys off. I mean, that's not intentional. But the cool part is I don't have to think about it. Like, it just kind of happens.
Wow.
See,
fun.
I never forgot that ability of yours.
Wow.
Impressive.
All right, then.
Impressive.
You never know.
Dan, you worked with Matt before you worked with me. I came into the scene later. So why don't you guys go over like the early days of PlayStation and then how you all went over to Bottle Rocket and all that?
I probably should let Matt lead into that, and I'll pick it up.
Well, I believe we met on Cree and whatnot, unless... because I know there was a little muddiness in my memory because we talked to our buddy Tom Toby a few weeks ago, and I thought you were on Blasto with him, but
yeah,
I
was.
That's true. Okay, so
the way I recall it, then, so I was up at Sony in Foster City and working on Blasto, and I was doing design and production along with Jay on that, and then we basically. There was an offer in that said, you guys have a great running team. We want to bring that down to San Diego. We want you guys to run that studio. And they're basically offering that to Jay. And then I remember Jay taking me aside, like we're outside talking and walking. And he's like, as you do with Jay, I don't know if you're used to that, but that's a typical thing. If you're in the tight circle with Jay, this is what happens. And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm an artist. I kind of got hired to do this production thing because I had the most experience, but I wasn't really a producer. And I really just wanted my chance to be a designer, and being made the producer let me be the designer. And so he was really conflicted about, I can't run a studio. I'm not, I was basically doing the production. He was kind of like over vision of the production, but I was actually like manage the schedule, manage the team, all the nuts and bolts. So he felt very unconfident about it. And I was the reverse. I was two things. I'm like, one, hey, we are doing this. We are being successful at what we're doing, and we're being recognized for that. So we should appreciate that other people think we're doing our job well, even if we're not sure about it.
and this is what year, Dan?
This was 95, I believe. Either 95, maybe 96, somewhere in there, 95, 96, because PS1 had just started rolling, doing internal development, and we were kind of newer into that pipeline. And then, so I said to Jay, if this is an opportunity of a lifetime, you can't say no to this. Even if you think you're going to screw it up, like, come on, man, let's grab it while it's hot. And so I guess I was able to convince him of that. And I'm sure
back then you could screw up pretty good and still keep going and be successful.
Oh my God. I mean, there were times we were literally.
It was new to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really was. And it was kind of, I don't know. I think there was a wildness to what was happening. I mean, I just was at the GamesBeat conference in LA, which is a lot of OG people talking about early stuff, Atari days and before Atari days. And like, yeah, I met some amazing people. It was really very cool. But the way they were talking about it, it's like the industry was very small. And when things ballooned up and then there was the crash, ET cartridges being thrown into the dumpsters and all that stuff. It's like, because of that crash, they said, wow, it was a big shrinking. But the big shrinking that's happening now in comparison, it's like we still have so many more people in development than we had back then. So there was a lot of wildness, a lot of Wild West that they talked about too. But I think as new people, artistic people and engineers started flooding into this game zone, it really kind of ballooned that whole wildness to some kind of at least in our team, into some kind of fever pitch, because oh my God, the stories I can tell you, but and maybe I will, but one that I will kind of cherry pick right now, because I mean, it's like, how long do you guys have for this nonsense? But I'll cherry pick this one now. The team has been working crazy overtimes, the deal. And it's like, no one's taking weekends. We're not getting holidays. It's like, we got to get this game out. And this is, when the disc launches, end of story. This was
that's it. There's no day one patch or anything, no internet connection. Yeah.
No, so everyone's like, "This is my legacy is here, and I'm gonna stamp it with everything I got," right? And so a lot of excitement and heart to that. So, but some of the side effects of that were things like this on a Sunday morning where everyone's been working all weekend and all nights, and someone's brilliant idea, I think it was Matt Duncan, programmer back then, said, "Well, let's go jacuzzi in the fountain out front of Sony." And of course, the team all went, "Well, that's a brilliant idea. Why don't we go next door to Safeway and get beers? I think they're open by 6:30 a.m. or 24 hours or whatever." So it was about 6 a.m. We're all piled into the fountain outside the Foster City offices and drinking beers, and they got this boom box cooking. It's good times. And the security people were like looking at us on the cameras, and they're flipping through their book, and they can't find the rule that says no one's allowed to like party in the fountain. So they didn't know how to deal with this. Meanwhile, it just so happened, I think it was Andrew House was like the head of sales at the time, I think, or marketing. Sorry, Andy, if I screwed that one up. I don't know why I don't remember that specifically. Sometimes I get a little loose. And then the head of Sony, the president at the time, it was the Nike wearing dude. I forget what his name was. Those two came rolling in, and here's the Blasto team just chilling in the fountain with beers and the stereo blasting. And they're just like, just like the security, they're like, "I don't know how to deal with this." So they just went, "Good morning, boys." And and they leaned on security, and security didn't know what to do about us again. So they came out and thumbed through the book in front of us as if to say, "We don't know what to do. Can you help us? Help us like get out of this scenario? Because the president's here and he's not happy about any of us." But in
But
true
he still
Blasto,
needs all of you. So
well, that was the key,
Wow.
right? So the whole Blasto team's like, "Yeah, salute." They don't care. They just stayed in there and they drank and they had a good time. Nothing came of it. But
So
there
you
was
did Blasto and Foster City.
yes, yeah, we
Okay.
completed
So
it
I
up
thought
there.
the project moved to San Diego, but I guess
No,
you
no,
did
no,
it all
they
in Foster
came
City
down
and then
after.
moved. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, when we wrapped up Blasto, I was working on. I'd done a lot of strategy guide and talking about Mortal Kombat stuff. I did the strategy guides official for Mortal Kombat 1, 2, Tekken 1 and 2, some Street Fighters, Street Fighter Alpha,
That
like 13
explains
books.
it.
Yeah, I know, right? In fact,
So Dan, as an aside to everybody that's watching, Dan is incredibly good at Mortal Kombat 2. We had an arcade cabinet in the lobby. Now I'm a Street Fighter guy. I'm not really a Mortal Kombat guy. Street Fighter is my game. Like I'm really good at Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat, I could not touch Dan. He would play backwards. He would play with one hand. He would wait, let you beat him, and then get most of the way through the second round, and then he would start to play, and he'd still destroy you. So like it was insane skill. But anyway, go ahead.
I wanted you to get to play too. I didn't want to just dominate the thing. That's no fun for anybody. But
No,
yeah, go ahead, Matt.
the backwards thing, that just sounds impossible to people, but I swear it happened. I watched it happen because you
Yeah,
did
with
it
his hands
to a
behind
new
his back,
guy.
doing this.
You
Yeah.
did it- You did it to a new guy because he thought he could beat you. You beat him. You said, "Oh, wait a minute, I'll give you a chance." So you turned around backwards, wiped him out. So that was impressive.
Not to jump through time too much, but I have a story. I taught at DigiPen for a while. I don't anymore. I got too busy with my day job, but they had a faculty versus student Street Fighter tournament, and I signed up for the faculty, and a bunch of students signed up. Night before the tournament, the head of the students that set it up emailed me and said, "We're canceling the tournament." I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, you're the only faculty member that signed up." And I said, "Are you telling me that the students forfeit?" He's like, "No." I was like, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow." And I beat 30 students and I won the tournament.
Nice.
It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that. I got a relatable story to that one too. I was actually at I'll tell you the Mortal Kombat one too. I'll put that on hold for a second. And we're getting back to meeting Matt Case. That might be the whole end of this thing. It's like one of those like Memento movies or something. I don't know. It's one of these bizarre twists through time to land where we started. But yeah, I was at Sony actually before I was doing development there. I was on their tip line team. Like it was kind of like customer service stuff. It was like you could write books on how to beat games, and then on the phones they would explain stuff we wrote for the customers.
And they look it up in binders while they're talking to you, like the 1-900 numbers, like to beat the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I was on the team that was writing the tips for the customer service for that. And I was actually in customer service prior to that. And a guy in development said, "Why are you answering phones? Like you wrote all these books. dude, you should be writing on their tip dealio. And so I walked in the interview and I was like, just dropped 13 books on their desk. I'm like, I published those. I'm the author. Can I get a job on this? And they're like, yeah, you should. What are you doing? Do that.
Wow.
So then I got an offer from Namco to represent them at E3 for their Tekken tournament. And I was like, wow, super awesome. We're going to go down to Atlanta. We're going to be in Georgia and, get to rep them in the Tekken tournament. So I asked my boss, because, I'd go through legal, and they're like, oh, yeah, legal says it's totally fine. Don't sweat it. So I go down there, and during the tournament, there's this kid, everyone signed. There's like hundreds of people signing up, playing each other and whatever. And the kid who was like first place out of all the regular people, what they call the punters in England. Once the punter got up to first place, he had to play me first, and then my buddy Ben that I was writing the books with. We were like kind of Rochambeau, who's going to be the top guy and who's the second. So I was second guy, which is fitting. That's another story. But so the guy who was against me, I was like, hey man, I'm actually not getting paid to be here. So if you want to split the prize money, I'll let you win. And he's like, I'm like, all right, time to tenderize the meat. So I just kind of up, slap, you're gone. And that was the end of that.
That's great.
But that was funny. And then the thing that I was getting back to with Matt and the behind the back thing was, that's when I'd learned to be nicer about it, because before I got into dev, there was a 7-Eleven where we'd all go to play Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and there was Sega guys there. There was Sega dev in the area, so we're like, ooh, the Sega developers, what a big deal, right? And as kids that were just like testers in the air and stuff were like, they must be like ultimate game players. We didn't realize they actually have jobs to do. They don't have time to sit around learning all these moves and stuff. So what we would do to them is we would eat an ice cream cone and we'd face the other way and just play with one hand, not looking at the screen, just like, hey, what's up, Ben? Ice cream, and just destroy them. And it would make them so angry. And then the one time we talked smack to them, they did point. They're like, well, we do have to work. We can't sit around the arcade all day, guys. We're like, oh. Wah, wah, wah.
They tell you to go touch grass. That wasn't a thing then.
No, not that. I didn't hear that one, but maybe that's California versus Pennsylvania thing. I don't know.
Yes. Lots of grass in Pennsylvania to touch, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that was, yeah. So I learned to be nicer.
So then you're
Just
down
play
at SCEA. You moved down from Foster City down to San Diego with the
Almost.
team.
So yeah, almost. So Jay is convinced to take the job. So he goes down and he picks like Tim Nevue and a couple of core guys as the key team to head down that way. And Tom Toby, you talked to recently. Tom Toby. And so a select set. I stayed behind. I was working on a game called Busta Groove from Japan, and I was bringing it to the US jointly with Europe. So I was finishing that project while I was up in Foster City, and so I kind of lagged behind the group by like, I don't know, 3 months or something like that. So when I got down there, everyone was kind of set up, and then I had a little office there to come into. And when I got there, I remember coming into the door, the second floor, I think it is, coming down the hallway, and there's this line of cubes, and I believe Mr. Matt Case was on the far right, and he pops out. I was like, "Hi, how you doing?"
Did he hug you? Heidi ho!
Yeah, he didn't hug me yet. Maybe at some point, I'm not sure about that, but I do remember as I started to move forward and I saw Matt. Around Matt, I saw what you see behind you, which is iconic wall of toys, which I begin to know for the rest of my life after that. But that was my introduction.
So the reason I mentioned Matt hugging is that Matt is a hugger. If you've never met Matt Case, if you've known him for more than 10 minutes, he'll hug you when you're leaving or when he sees you. That's just how he is. And the one time Shu Yoshida was touring the studio at SCEA, and Matt saw him from behind and thought he was someone else, and ran up behind him and hugged him and picked him right up off the ground. And then an email went out at work: please do not hug Shu when he's walking around the studio.
He saw the shock in my face as I realized it was not one of our friends, and I was like, I apologized and left the room. And he definitely was smiling, but it was. But a few years back, Floyd decided it'd be a cool idea to go on his Wikipedia and edit it and add that
That's right. I
was
forgot
hugged by Matt Case. And oddly enough, that got changed off again
It was
a few days.
for like a day and a half. Yeah.
All right. Well, now that I know that, I'm going to help keep posting it. I think if enough of us if enough people do it, it's going to say, well, it must be a real thing because,
it's a real thing.
I will say I haven't had many interactions with Shu Yoshida, but everyone that I did was super pleasant. Great guy, really loves games, cares about the industry and the people that work in it. So shout out to Shu Yoshida.
Yeah, he's awesome. In fact, he's the reason that patented system for Mark of Cree came about because of the game that he did. What was it the fireworks one? Fantavision. I think it was called.
So do you want to talk about the control stuff that you're talking about?
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you a Shu story first, and then I'll tell you that because I think the goofy, weird stuff that nobody knows about is kind of funny. But maybe I'm wrong. But I like that stuff. So I was in the airport in San Diego, and here comes Shuhei just chilling, rolling down the road, and we're both going to whatever we're doing in the airport. And I wasn't going to bother the guy. It's kind of my introvert extrovert thing. Like, I'll bother you for endless hours, but I don't want to start bothering you. Like, it's like, don't open that door because I'll come in, right? But if you don't want to open it, I'm lurking. I'm out there in the background. So anyway,
this episode's going to be 4 hours long, by the way.
Yeah, it really easily could be. But you guys all know how to corral me.
Go ahead.
If you can corral Tom Toby, you can definitely corral me.
That episode was like an hour and 30 minutes or something like that. So that's the time to beat. Anyway, go ahead.
Easy peasy. But at any rate, I mean, just the stories alone of like Blasto days would clear 5 hours. But anyways, okay, so here comes Shuhei Yoshida, and he stops me, and he's like, "Oh, Dan," and he says hello, and I'm like, "Oh, well, how nice of him, right?" And he's like, "Come here, let's get some food and let's have a drink and stuff, whatever." Now, I don't drink alcohol, but anyway, I used to in my days, and that's another story. But I don't drink it anymore. Anyway, so I'm sitting there with Shu. I don't know if he's drunk or what. It's kind of hard to understand him sometimes, I think, especially back then. And his English wasn't as strong. But he just started he got a very furrowed brow, and he's kind of banging on the table a bit. And he's like, "When the time is right, when the time is right." And I was thinking, I don't have a clue what he's talking about. Like, just not a clue. But he was so into it that I was like, yeah, when the time is right.
Oh,
That's it. That's the story. You don't know what he was talking about?
To this day, I don't have a clue.
he was so story about him. He was at one of the Sony parties, and I guess that's the Japanese businessman sort of thing, is being able to do shots, and they would do the. My producer at the time there, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he got so wiped out, sloshed, because he was trying to keep up with Shu, and it was just
I made that mistake.
You're not
I made that
gonna do
mistake.
it.
I made that mistake with Tiffany Chu, game designer at SOE. Smed used to rent out the Brass Monkey in LA when we'd go up for E3, and you drink whatever you wanted. So I had to work the show the next morning. So I was like, I'm not going to drink that much. And Tiff was there, and she's like, yeah, I'm not going to drink that much either. I was like, cool, I'll drink what you drink. She's like, all right. So she ordered, I forget, like a Shirley Temple or something, and I got the same thing, and we drank them. And then I thought I was going to order the last drink, and then we're done. So I ordered Jaeger shots. So we did the Jaeger shots, and then she ordered another drink, and I was like, oh, you're still going? She's like, oh yeah, unless you want to stop. I'm like, no, I'm fine. So I kept going drink for drink. And then at one point I got up from the stool I'd been sitting at the whole time, having not eaten anything. And the whole room was like, whoa. And I was like, I got to go home. I got to go back to the hotel, and I go outside and puke my guts out on the street. I flag a cab. The cab pulls up. As the cab stops, I throw up again. The cab takes off. So then somebody else flagged a cab. We got in the car. I've got the window down. I've got my head against the thing in LA. The total mess, terrible way to be. Sick. I get out at the hotel, throw up they had like a carpet on the sidewalk. I throw on the carpet. Terrible. Go into the hotel room, throw up again at that night. I didn't have anything left in me. And then I was supposed to work the show first thing in the morning. And I missed the morning shift because I was hungover bad. I finally get to E3 and I just look like I'm a wreck.
Oh,
so
no.
The one guy at the SOE table, he's like, dude, go. And it was the setup where we had the upstairs and they had the couches and the little lounge so they could do press, interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep on the couch and I woke up to Adam Sessler from G4 going, dude, are you okay? Like, look, terrible.
Hey.
So I don't drink anymore. I don't drink anymore. I don't drink any less. but I don't
Never
drink
did.
anymore.
I just drank that. That's what that's the hardest
Classic.
thing
But anyway.
for.
Classic Matt case
Yeah.
of the Mountain
Not
Dew.
sponsored. Not sponsored
Not
episode, by the way.
Not yet.
I was making sure my bottle. I was like trying to make sure it's at the right angle.
I've got a coffee mug that says "Stayed up too late," which is pretty accurate. Yeah.
Well played, good sir.
Anyway, so you're down at SCEA in San Diego. You meet Matt, and you're working on what game in San Diego?
So that was interesting. So we were working on it was still Barbarians at the time, and they were as Shuhei Yoshida comes into the picture again, he mandated that everything needed to be switched over to PS2 because at the time was expected to be a PS1 title. But of course, the company's shifting, all the development should shift as well. So they did. And then at that time, something within that evolvement was, well, if we can do more and there's more power here, and we had Jeff Merghart on at the time, and his artistic developments and the overall team artistic developments kind of evolved into what was becoming the Mark of Kree. It's like, if anyone knows Jeff Merghart, and if you don't look him up, he looks like Rao from the Mark of Kree.
Yeah,
like
Jeff Merghart. Like if Milt Kahl, the Disney animator, was a Pacific Islander. And I mean, amazing talent. He could trip over a box of pencils and like amazing art would come out of it. And you guys did the control scheme. That was kind of what I was hinting at for Kree. So you have a patent on that, yeah? Yeah,
we do. And the funny thing about that, that cracks me up anyways. Ask Tim Neville. He's #1 listed on the patent, and he knows the least about it. And we didn't know why. We went into an office with a bunch of lawyers, and they were talking about everything. And what none of us understood, because none of us had done patents before, is just the first name listed. They list the names in the order of your contribution to that patent, essentially. So, but we didn't know that. We're like, I don't know. Tim's a producer. Tim, put your name on this thing. All right, I'm Dan. You're the assistant. We go put your name on it. Your associate. Put your name on this thing. And we just kind of ran around the office. Put your name on this patent thing. And then later on, they're like, go bothering Tim about the patent. Tim's like, I don't know a damn thing about the patent. Go talk to Dan. What the hell's going on? So it's like, that was kind of funny. But yeah, so anyway, Schumit had us switch over to PS2. And then we had Jeff Merghart doing this incredible art, and we're kind of developing what the product's actually going to become. And then we're playing Fanavision. And I think it was Jay. It was either Jay or Tim. I think it was Jay, though, was looking at the way you could just swing this thing around and it would latch on to a firework and all these different fireworks, and then you could detonate to explode. And then he was thinking, well, what if we do that in the combat with characters around us, not fireworks, but characters around us? So if you select those characters, it's easier to attack. And going back to like just getting your ass handed to you in fighting games, Jay was like, that was Jay. Like he would call me in his office on Blasto days for Tomb Raider, be like, Danny, I can't beat this jump in Tomb Raider. Come in here, do the jump for me. Danny. So I'd go in there and do the jump. And so at any rate, he was just not. In fact, when he hired me, one of the reasons he hired me is he's like, I like that you can beat all the other people in the office at fighting games. He thought that was like a great thing.
Hey, whatever gets you into the industry.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, if I told you my interview with Kelly, I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say that interview. Like it's so
probably not
inappropriate to any normal human, but I
it's
thought
a very different time now. I mean, I went to it was very common during E3 to go to meetings at strip clubs, at bars, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was at the E3 in Atlanta, and the whole upstairs was, yeah.
I mean, go
it was
dancers,
all cocaine and prostitutes, literally.
Very different time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I got pulled up there. They're like, hey, we're going to find so-and-so. And they brought me up there and dragged me through. And I was like, all right, well, this is different. And then we came down, and I was just a wee kid. What do I know? But anyway, so, okay, I'm digressing a lot. So, so we've got the whole Fanavision thing. Jay wasn't very good at these fighting games. His thought was, all right, how do I make a fighting game accessible for me? Someone who can't just like target this guy that well and learn all these moves. He's like, what would make this simple for him? So he thought, if you can do these selections, and then it's going to determine for you the distance from your player character, it's going to choose, is this a left hit, forward hit, behind me to the right? And is it a quick jab to the side, or is it a long distance that I'm trying to hit? And so it's going to take care of all that busy work for you. You just choose who you're selecting, and then you choose the right buttons or button sequences to attack them in what order.
For people that aren't familiar, the PlayStation has two analog sticks, the two joysticks, and the left stick, I believe, would sweep a beam around, and then the buttons would appear over. Oh yeah, right stick would do the beam.
Was directional,
moving around.
Right. Yeah. So right stick would do the beam, and then it would assign the square or the circle or the triangle or the X for an enemy. And when you hit that button, it would attack in that direction, but you didn't have to turn your character around or whatever. If the character's behind you, you'd hit back with your sword or whatever your weapon was, which was super cool because you could fight mobs, and it didn't feel like a lot of other games where you turn and fight thing and everybody else waits for you to fight that thing before you turn around and fight them. Like it really felt like you're fighting a mob, which was really cool, especially then on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, it had a lot of agility.
They made it even deeper. Like if you only had one or two buttons selected, the other two buttons were modifiers on those different attacks, which was super cool. And there was a vocal cue from
a combo system
from Rao, the main character,
when
you're supposed to hit the buttons. And so it was just amazingly, just such an easy,
really well executed.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the smoothest on any of the titles I've been on since then. That's still one of the smoothest combat.
I would say it's probably
schemes.
the best, tightest controls of any game that I've worked on.
Yeah,
so check out both games, folks. That's what we're saying. Market Kree and Rise of
Kasai, same control scheme. It is the exact same control scheme, right? Like we didn't add anything in Kasai that wasn't already set up in Kree. Yeah.
No,
we just added two more characters you could play as.
Yeah, exactly. Just two new characters with different sets of moves. So we just added to the animation set. And that was something I think, surprisingly to me, I'd say surprisingly, at least industry-wise, a lot of people seem to miss, was the quality of the art and the animation. We went to the DICE Awards because we were up for an animation award, and I think we won that one. I'm pretty sure we did. Wow. From what I recollect. Actually, I was more focused on, I got to meet Dave Foley, from Kids in the Hall. He was the presenter, and he was just like drunk at the bar. So I was talking to him for a while, and I didn't pay attention to whether or not we won. I was
There's a theme in this episode. I'm picking up. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, so the animation was first and foremost, and Jay having an art background, he was really pushing for that studio overall to have really high quality art. So he was trying to source Disney guys, Pixar guys. Floyd, that's how you came into the picture.
I was Blue Sky on Ice Age.
Yeah, exactly. So like, where do we get this high quality talent for art? And from that, I thought that was amazing. I loved being a part of that, fly on the wall. I learned so much as a non-artist. Like even now I look at things, I'm like, oh, there's a tangent line. We shouldn't have that. And da da da. And people are like, what the hell's a tangent line? I said, I don't even know. I just kept hitting me in the head with it. So.
Well, before I moved out to San Diego, I was on the East Coast, and I was talking to SCEA San Diego, which is now, it's not SCEA anymore. It's, what does it go by? Remember?
Is it
they changed the acronym
now, or
Sony Computer
Sony International,
something.
or I don't know,
something like that. Anyway, I played Mark Cree that was my, like, do I want to go from film into games? Like, they had already decided I was going to be in film because I got laid off with a bunch of the other crew. So that decision was easy because it was made for me. But I was like, I don't know if I want to go into games, or if I want to stick with film, whatever. And, there's a lot of snobs in film where like, I work on films and this is blah, blah, blah. And like the amount of creative control you have over a film is minimal at best as an animator. The storyboard's done. The character's already in position for a 3D film. The character's already in position. You get your blocking from the layout department. You know what the shot is before yours. You know what the shot is after yours. The dialogue's already recorded that you didn't do. There's a storyboard that shows you what has to happen. You're basically just taking the character from a T-pose, animating the thing, and then passing it off to the next guy, and then taking the next shot. In games, it was super common, and I didn't know this at the time. It was super common for designers just to be like, yeah, the attack is about this long, and I want it to be cool. And then you just make up whatever you want, which was awesome. And I didn't know that. And when I played Mark Cree, I could see the skill that went into crafting that game.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I do want to be part of this.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
So
to hear.
it was that was the game that convinced me to get into games as
There's
a
also
career.
a very technical side to that because the timing has to line up, or you have to split things up to fit all together.
That was something for animation for games where, like, in a movie, if I'm gonna pick up this pen, right, I might like anticipate it and then grab it, right? But in a game, like for the attack, you want a responsive thing so that when the player presses the button, the attack happens right away. You don't want this big delay because you're going to get hit. So a lot of times we would work the anticipation. Like the first frame, we would go way past what you needed it to be so that the blend would take care of that. And by the time it blended into the thing, it looked like it anticipated, but it was really some super wild, like would look terrible if you looked at just that frame, but it works in the context of the blending of the animation. So there's a lot of massaging that stuff and getting that to look right. So it's definitely an art.
There was a couple layers to that. And again, me being the non-artist, learning from you guys, what I consider the greats. I remember Eric Medina was explaining that to me, that he's like, yeah, this frame, basically Sony had spent a lot of money on mocap studios at the time and they wanted us to use it. And our animators were saying, not interested. And I was like, so what's the deal? I mean, it's like, you get hit, they get knocked. It's like, it saves you a lot of time. And Eric's like, no, he's like, an artist is an animator. And I'm telling you guys this, so, you shut me up anytime. Yeah. He was explaining that, if the strike hits and you want it to feel like the guy really got flung back, he'd animate it extremely forward for 2 frames and then fling him back. And he's like, now that, you wouldn't do that in mocap, obviously, but the feeling is so powerful. And the idea is to feel better than real life, stronger, more amazing. And the eye won't detect it. The user won't know what happened. The player won't know what happened. But as the artist, you know how to communicate what you want to communicate through your abilities. And so that's what and I actually took that and went to the mocap group, was like, can't you guys like work together and make something amazing here? Like blend what you do in mocap with what these artists do and make like, peanut butter chocolate this bad boy. And they're like, we don't care. We're not interested. Fair enough. Then we're not going to use you.
It happens sometimes. Yeah.
Well, there's so many animations on like Rao where his elbows are broken and everything because they wanted to give the weight of the sword and everything to it. It's just it's
you
amazing
feel it when you play it. It feels, the weapons feel heavy. It feels like you're really making impact with stuff, and it's just pixels on the screen.
And it's painful looking. I mean, that was the thing. There's lots of ouchie deaths in that game.
Yeah.
So that was 2 things that I would bring across to this is like talking about between design and animators and what do we need. So I think one big benefit was that I had this fighting game background, and something I understood was eye-hand coordination in relation to frame rate. So back then, a lot of things were in 30 frames per second when we were doing like Mortal Kombat games and things like that. And we're studying, writing the books, and trying to think about the player's abilities and how people can, what's a good player for you to pick up if you're not very good at the game or what have you, or if you're an expert. And basically what it boiled down to was like, if you want someone to be like an expert level play, if an attack happens within 7 frames, that's a real twitch moment, because you really can't react that quickly. Most people, maybe animators can. Like
lowercase t Twitch, not
lowercase, not the streaming Twitch. No, the concept of the mechanic of Twitch gameplay, which was a thing back in the day, which was like anything that made you just kind of go, oh, you spaz out because you can't
super fast. Yeah, like a Twitch
Dragon's Lair was Dragon's Lair was based on Twitch.
Dragon's Lair is like that.
And memory, you had to memorize and Twitch.
Yeah. Unreal Tournament was like a Twitch shooter, lowercase t. So for the younger folks watching, before there was Twitch, it was Justin TV. It wasn't called Twitch. And but twitching was like a fast motion in a game where you'd have to like flick the stick quick. It was like a Mortal Kombat thing where you'd have to like dodge or like well, I guess you don't block backward. No, block was a separate button in Mortal Kombat. I'm thinking of Street Fighter where you'd like twitch back to block and then do your attack. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So no, you're right. So so having that background of like what is the frame rate and the relationship for the user, and Jay wanting a very accessible fighting game, but also we want, and like from my position, we wanted it to be also something that people that were better players to enjoy as well. So like, how do we kind of bridge these gaps, blend the lines, and make things really fun for people? So if it was like a fast short attack, I made sure that it was hitting within 7 frames. If it was going to be something that it was like a big windup with an axe and we wanted it to be heavy, but we wanted it to be something that you probably could block. Most people, your grandma could probably block this. It would be between like 20 to 30 frames would be the time before the strike actually hit. It's most people, most of the time, even if they get 1 or 2 times, they'll learn within 20 to 30 frames at a third frames a second to be able to block that. So at any rate, so a lot of the moves that we put into the Mark of Kree and Rise of Kasai were based on that formula and format, regardless of distance. So when I was, I basically was a guy that came up with all the moves. So I was practicing with different items in the office. I had a kendo sword I was using for sword practice, and then I had a Taiha from that Jeff Merkhart built that I was practicing with. I broke that. Everyone thought he was going to kill me, but he was nice about it. And so I incorporated like real action motion. I'm like, can you actually do this? And will this really work? And I'm not a martial artist, but people at E3 that were martial artists like, oh, this is real martial arts. That's this, and I know that. They didn't know I just made this shit up, like all of it. I just literally made it. But with the fighting game stuff, I passed over the fence to the animators and would say, this has to strike by, I don't care what you do in the windup, but it's got to strike by 7 frames, and the recovery needs to be this many frames. So
yeah, 7 frames is like a fourth of a second. Like it's quick. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that was just for what, like quick shots. Slower attacks had longer recovery times, or shorter depending on the move. And anyways, we played and stretched with that. So, but when I had to write up all the animation work for everybody, that's what they received was, this is how much time you have for this part of it, and this is how much time for that part of it, and this is what the move's supposed to do. I'd explain like the sword is being flipped in the air from the right hand, caught up above their shoulder. It's brought down from right to left. So they knew what we were trying to achieve, because I had, we had a vision for what the combat was going to do. But beyond that, there was a lot of kills, all the stealth kills. So
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of those, but other ones, people like Jeff Merkhart would just come up and go, I want to do something. I go, great, have at it. I don't know what you're going to do, but have a good time. And obviously those are some of the best things, take it out of my hands and put it in your guys' hands. That's going to be more fun. He picks up this little guy and it just starts slamming the guy's little head into the wall. I was like, brilliant.
But he timed that out so great, because it's like there's some couple real heavy hits against the wall, and he kind of pauses and looks at him and gives one more hit just to make sure.
You got to make sure. You got to make sure he's done. Yeah.
And then he discards him like just some trash that he found in his hand by surprise. Like, dump this garbage.
But there were benefits in the game to doing those more elaborate attacks and stuff, because it scared everyone else off and gave you that little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, if you pull off a good combo, everybody else would back off because they're terrified, which I thought was cool. Yeah.
Well, so that was because part of that was because in Blasto, I mean, this is me, the Mortal Kombat kid, coming into the design group. I wanted to blow the heads off the aliens and things like that, or blow half their body off, depending on how you charged up the weapon. So that's why that happened in Blasto. Then fast forward to Mark of Kree, I'm already blowing everyone's heads off and chopping them in half. So of course we do that with the weapons. And then that extended to, well, in Blasto, nobody seemed to care. You blow somebody's head off, the next guy walks right up and he's like, take mine too, I don't care. But in Kree, we thought maybe these people actually notice and care what's happening in their environment.
What's funny is that fast forward to Rise of Kasai, and it's supposed to be 2-player co-op with another person being online potentially. So we had the system. Actually. Yeah, we had the system and it was built and it worked. And then 11th hour, they're like, no, you got to change it, because there were only like 40% of the consoles were online at the time. So they're like, nobody's going to be able to, they were concerned that people wouldn't be able to play online. So they had to write this like AI thing in 2004 where the second player would be computer controlled. And you'd go one way on a map, the AI would go the other direction, and they would flip a switch, and then it would open a door for you, and then you'd flip a switch and it would open a door for them. And a lot of times in the early builds of that, you would get to the spot, you're waiting for the door to open, and it wouldn't open. So you have to walk all the way through the map, go find the other player, and they're hiding like away from the enemies because they don't want to get hit by the enemies, is what it felt like. But so that was a little bit of a train wreck.
Well, there was actually from what I remember, there was a big meeting with Shu and marketing, and the impetus was up in Santa Monica Studios that was overseeing Bottle Rocket at the time. So basically, if we kind of lost people here, we were making Mark of Kree over at Sony down in San Diego, and then the team, this is a whole nother story. We moved over we basically convinced Shu to pay us to start our own studio was what happened. And that's an interesting story. I can tell you if you want to know how that happened. This is what we did. So we got ourselves set up on the beach over in Sausalito, a nice shiny little place where we could surf every day, which we never did, but we could. Um, and that's
but
where
it
we
was
started
dog
working on
beach,
Rise of
so
the
that's
Side.
not quite the beach. So.
No, the building was on the beach. Like, there was cement
beautiful,
below it, but
right by the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Yeah,
I looked out my window and I watched the races, but because I know you guys are the basement guys, and I know
we're
there's
in
a
the
whole thing
basement with the
about that.
spiders. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh man, but besides that whole story, where was I going with that? I forgot. I lost where I was there. Oh yeah. So at any rate, so Sony then, of course, had a leash on us through Santa Monica Studios. Alan's group was overseeing us, and he had a guy working from him. I won't name names, but that guy was basically didn't have a clue what he was talking about when he was talking about our game, and was telling all these kinds of negative, false stories. If they were negative, true stories, that's one thing, but they were negative, false stories. And Jay got pretty annoyed about that, like the rest of us did, and called it out. But now the problem with that is, in a Japanese culture, if you say that the guy below the head guy is bad, you're actually saying the guy who chose him is bad. So you're saying that their leader has problems. You're not just saying that the guy below is your problem. Even if that's true, that's just, Japanese. It's not a thing you do. But that's what happened. I was like, oh no, they're gonna shut us down, which did happen. But I was like, this is not gonna bode well. Now, the first step of that was Shu going, all right, I'm not hearing good things here. I don't like what I'm hearing, but I know these guys. I know this team. And he knows that Fanavision was the impetus for like the core of this mechanic. And I think he probably has some pride in that somewhere. I'm pretty sure. So he comes down to see what's going around. And he brought down.
That's why he came to the office.
Oh yeah, baby. And I knew this too. I was like, our presentation needs to be immaculate. And I knew where all the crashes would occur. And like you said, the characters would get left behind and all these to do. So I was like buttoning up. I was pulling the hours to make sure this presentation was smooth, make it look like everything's flawless. And we did. We pulled that off. But marketing was also there to shut it down. And their reason was they didn't like the co-op. They thought the things that we were doing that I liked, like if you were someone that was really into the archery side of it, you could be having your kind of own reward system based on that reward system. Or if you were really into the stealth or really into combat, whatever your flavor was, you could really excel at that and be rewarded for that. You could also match up with people based on these things. I personally thought that was kind of cool. I liked that. But marketing thought nobody likes that and nobody cares about it. Where their data from that comes from, or if it's the kind of thing like Ford wouldn't have made the car, the people would have just said, we want a faster horse. I don't know if that's the whole deal there. But anyway, so here's marketing with their I don't like it thing, and here's Shu going, I heard this is all bad, but I don't believe it thing.
Well, and they were putting a ton of their money and marketing money into God of War.
Well, that and there's a history of that marketing individual and against Blasto causing a lot of problems with the budget, and where the truth all fits into all that story. All I know is did I lose you guys?
No, we're still here.
Mike just kind of freaked out. Oh, there we go. I'm back, baby. Anyways, there was some bad blood in there for better or worse. In fact, there was a lot of like there was even like there was even a thing with marketing about like we had a focus test because Mark Cree didn't sell the numbers they thought it would. And so people said, well, the game though got great reviews. So we think it's the marketing, and marketing is like, it's not us. So they literally had a focus test, and the focus test proved those same results. Everybody loved the game, but when they look at the marketing, they said, it sounds like anything I do, I'm going to die. And that's literally what the marketing said. If you move, you die. If you don't move, you die. If you swing a sword, you'll lose your head. Like everything was like, you can't play this game. So marketing got dinged for that one. So I think this was some comeuppance, and it was dirty. The whole thing was very dirty. But I pulled it off flawless. Jay pulled it off flawless. Shu walked away. He said, right at the end of the meeting, he says, he was like walking out the door, and he turns around and he goes, oh, two things. His phone rang. Someone was supposed to give him a phone call so he could fake a reason to leave the room. We're pretty sure that was about, but he didn't leave. So we're like, okay, that's probably a good thing. And then, and then when he did leave, he turned around and he said, you turned a very bad thing into a very good thing. And then
cool.
he
Nice.
left. Yeah, and so the game was allowed to move forward. They didn't cut our contract as a studio, which you know about that, Floyd, down the road. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Cutting contracts
Yeah.
with studios. But they did allow us to finish the game, but they did say, kind of let marketing lead the charge on, we're gonna take out the co-op and we're just gonna budget for the single
All
player.
right. Because I thought it was a little bit like they didn't want to pay for the extra testing and all that crap in order
There was a
to
lot
do
of there was a lot
Yeah.
of misinformation stuff. I mean,
a lot
Floyd,
of reasons.
two things I will tell you about that I think are very interesting in that regard, that are kind of behind the
Mhm.
scenes stories of like the darker side of things. Floyd, when you were coming out, I already knew they were getting rid of you before you got there.
Oh, awesome.
I knew that because I was at the top of the food chain there, and
Yeah.
I was told that just like you, I mean, any sensible person would say, why on earth would you do this to such a to a person? They're going to move their family and their world,
Yeah.
and then you're just going to turn around and kick them out? Like, that's insane. But the directive above them, above our layer, was that nobody can know, because if anybody knows, like if you told Floyd, don't come out, we're not going to do this, then he might tell the people who were hiring him, I don't know what happened, but they just said, I'm not coming out. Then those people started to panic. Then their people panic. And then everybody's
Yeah.
like looking to flee the ship. So they were trying to avoid that. So we were instructed, shut up about this. You don't say it. None of us feel good about it, but nobody say a word. We're just staying out of it. So I felt terrible about that. When I met you when you came in, or at least I don't know if I went to shake hands, but I saw you. I'm like, okay, these are these great people, and you were chosen because you're great artists, and I'm like excited about these people coming to work with us. I'm like, oh, fantastic talent in the studio, but then I knew the bad side of it was gonna flip into that, and that's
That
like
all worked
kind of
out.
that's kind of how Bottle Rocket formed, around that same pressure cooker, because they
Yeah.
were also telling Jay, Shuhei was telling Jay, hey, EA is poaching your talent. They're literally calling on the phone saying, we will offer you more money to come over here. And people would, of course, take more money and leave for EA.
Yeah.
Like, why would they say no? And Shuhei is like, you have to stop it. We're like, well, how? Like, you're not letting us offer them more money. We
Yeah.
can't
It's,
honor. What is our, what the,
he
how
should have
is-
gone around and hugged everybody. No.
hug and a sweet mug? No,
There you go.
So here was
Carl
our
Strauss. Yeah.
So I think Kelly Flock comes into this maneuvering and strategy. I didn't hear this particular discussion, but the result was, offer Shu the core team that he likes, which was the Mark of Cree team. Say, we'll take this core set of people that you really think are good and talented, and we'll start our own studio. Now you guys will pay for that studio, and Sony then can benefit of the IP furthering. And if you don't like how we're functioning, you can just let us go. Instead of having to shuffle the resources onto other things, you can just cut the budget. So, kind of a win-win. And they said, and we got Jim Molinetz, who we just hired, who used to run his own studio. He can come in and be the studio head. So you don't even have to look for a new studio head. The guy's got experience. He knows what he's doing. And he knows the people, and the people like him. And so she was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. So that's how that thing started. The one other thing I'll tell you, which I think was kind of a weird one within that, when you were talking to Tom, I actually thought Tom might have brought this up. Tom got put in charge of some very large budgets and some big teams. And the question around the studio is like, what did Tom do? He was an animator on the project. Why is he now running multi-million-dollar budgeted projects? And the reason was, when Tom and I were back at Sony Foster Studio on Blasto, I went to Jay about boss design. He wanted me to design the boss character, this tentacle beast guy. So I wrote the design for it. And then Jay came back to me. He's like, this is impossible. It's never going to work. Da, 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 da. I knew it would all work, but he was just not having it. So I was like, what are you going to do, right? I'm just the new guy. I do whatever I'm told. So he told Tom to do it. Now, Tom came to me and says, Dan, Jay told me to design this boss. I don't know anything about game design. Can't you do that? Isn't that your job? I said, it is. I will. So I did. And so then that got sent to the programmers, and then Jay was playing. He's like, oh, this boss plays great. This is fantastic. Da, ba, da, ba, da, ba. And so he thought Tom did that.
Oh.
So fast forward, millions of dollars get wasted over in Sony, and Tom's like getting kind of like getting an earful from Jay about it. And Tom's like, well, what do you want from me? You told me to do this. You're my boss. I'm going to do what you say. He's like, but I don't understand why I'm getting all the heat. And he's like, well, you did that boss for Blasto, and I thought that was great. So I thought you could do that with other things. He says, I didn't do that. Dan did that. And Jay's face was just like, it just dawned on him how many millions of dollars, people's time and effort has been wasted on this complete misunderstanding of what happened under his watch. So that was an interesting one. So I have many more stories, but I'll just say those are some of the sweet spots.
So we go from Mark Cree, then we went over to Bottle Rocket, Raz Kasai, and then I left right after Kasai finished. I left in like early spring of 2005.
In that newer studio and the bigger one?
No, I was still down in Del Mar.
We were both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were both in the Del Mar.
Neither of you went over to the big office?
No, in Carlsbad.
No, because they ran out of money, and so I went back to Sony.
San Diego.
I went up to San Clemente and worked on Barnyard the movie.
Oh, that's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just saw a clip about that movie recently.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie.
No, but I'm just like, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Floyd worked on that.
I did work on that.
But Sony was there for quite a while again. And then when they, layoffs always happen. I did go up to the fancy office up in Carlsbad, wherever it was or whatever, and saw what everybody was doing, but I didn't get into, they didn't have a position, but the sweet tooth that I had modeled and whatnot for their presentation was playing in the lobby at the new place on the big TV. I was like, hey,
wait a
there's
minute.
some of my work.
Yeah. So then, Dan, how did you get to Judo Baby and dog football?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So there was I kind of want to hear about your stories. Am I allowed to ask about those, or should I focus?
Yeah.
So what?
It's a sharing time. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Because I'm happy to tell you what happened. It's a wild story, but I'm curious, Floyd. I didn't even know you left games at all. So
I did. I went back to film for a little bit. My son Kyle was about to be born, which is why I didn't stay at Bottle Rocket, because I was going to have to pay for a baby. That was baby number 3. I've got 4 kids total. Each kid is tied to like a left. No,
what's that?
This is Matt
number 5.
Yeah. No, so my wife was about ready to have my son Kyle, and I needed money to pay for a baby, and I had 2 kids already. So I went up to Omation and San Clemente. I was driving from San Diego to San Clemente every day. I had applied for animation, but on my reel I had a monkey character that had fur, and they're like, "Did you do that fur?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "You need to be on our hair and fur team because we need help with the tech." So I was on the hair and fur team, and I did hair and fur there for a bit.
It's the beard.
And
Yeah.
And I never used to wear a beard until I moved to the Pacific Northwest. And then, Bigfoot's doing it, so I figured I'll do it too. But so I went up to San Clemente. I was driving from San Diego to San Clemente every day.
Wow.
And you have to go through Pendleton, and it was always crazy traffic.
The big boobs,
so I would leave early in the morning. Yeah, you'd pass the boobs with the lights on the top. If you've ever driven that route, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, everybody.
It's in the Naked Gun movie.
It is in the Naked Gun movie. But anyway, so I'm driving up there and back every day. And the producer there, who I don't even remember his name, I would do my work, and then I would leave at 5. The clock, I'd watch the minute hand hit 5, and I would bolt to try to get back down to San Diego. A lot of times I wouldn't get home till 7, 8 o'clock at night. Nights when the traffic was bad, with a newborn baby at home. So the one day he called me into the office, and he's like, "I saw you leave at 5 yesterday." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, I got in at 8. Like I've been here a whole day. And he's like, "Yeah, but we're crunching on this movie." I was like, "All my stuff is done." And he's like, "Yeah, but it doesn't look good if you're leaving at 5. Just check your email or something till like 7 or 8 and then leave." And I was like, God. "I'm not working in fucking kindergarten. Bye." And I quit. And then the director, Steve Odekirk, the guy who, if you ever seen Kung Pao, that's the guy. The guy that is Kung Pao. He's a writer and actor, awesome. But he wrote Bruce Almighty and all kinds of really great stuff. He wrote this film too, and he's directing it. Anyway, he called me into his office. He's like, you quit? And I was like, yeah, I can't take it anymore. Like, I have this problem with the producer. And he's like, well, I'll take care of him. Don't worry about it. Like, now I'm already made up my mind. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Pennsylvania. I'm going to start my own shop. And he's like, well, I really want you to finish Hair and Fur on the movie. And I was like, well, I'm going back to Pennsylvania. He's like, well, what if we send you a computer and you can do it from there? I was like, okay. So I moved back to Pennsylvania. That's when I started my own shop, which was a nonprofit by accident animation studio, and I ended up closing 2 years later. Yeah, it was a disaster.
Didn't know how to incorporate. Was that it? They're like,
it was terrible.
Nobody wanted to pay him. I don't know.
I got too big too quick, and I overextended, and I had a lot of clients that didn't pay on time or at all. Some of them.
No retainers,
Sony was always a great client, ironically. So when I closed Bishop Animation, I went back to SCEA. So Sony moved me twice across the country, which is why I don't feel so bad that they let me go the first time, because the first time they moved me, I had 2 kids. The second time they moved me, I had 4 kids. So they paid to move me cross country twice. But anyway, so that was my whole thing. And then I did some time in San Diego at SCEA. I did a year at NBA 08, and then I moved over to SOE, worked on Free Realms and a bunch of other titles, and then moved to Pennsylvania for 6 months, and then moved back up here. And so I've been all over the place. I'm sick of moving. Anyway,
insane. Wow.
Judo Baby and dog football. Where cause this is a game people can play. Like, this is out now. Yeah.
I'll send you a Steam code. Just let me know when you want to try. Yeah. So out now. A funny thing, like literally today, I got an order for a signed copy of the game. Somebody else who wanted the regular game and a signed copy, and then somebody else wanted a regular copy. And this is what always happened. The game shipped. It was 2011, 2012. You think I should know, but I don't remember. Anyway, I got PTSD from the whole thing. But yeah, literally, I'll write to them. Oh, where'd you hear about the game? Because I'm supposed to now have a business hat and think about these things, and which I've learned a lot about. And anyway, they'll always tell me the same thing, like, oh, it was on like a Reddit or someone did a video, and this is the first time I've heard about it, and it sounds great. I'd love to play it. Like 10 years later is not supposed to be the first time you've heard about a game. I hear tell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and there's oh my God, the story I can tell you about all this nonsense.
It just means you're a true artist, because people will get to see and love it after you're dead.
This is actually kind of true, in a way.
That took a dark turn. That took a little bit of a dark turn.
I liked it. I don't know. You're better at that. I don't detect these things as well. I guess that's why I did a lot of the killing stuff. Like, ha ha ha. Look at that guy crawl to his death before we stab him in the back. Isn't that cute? What a laugh for the kids. Oh, I will tell you that. I'll catch us back up, but kind of based on what you guys said about the violence and stuff in that game, we went to E3 when the game was not out yet, but we were showing the game, and the heads of Nintendo, the 2 head guys from Nintendo, were going up and they were playing it, and they were like, ooh, they're really paying attention to it. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then they kept stabbing the guy on the ground. I did it so that if you kept pressing the X, you could keep stabbing the guy over and over on the ground before you try to crawl away. They just kept doing it for like several minutes. And I filmed them doing this. And I was like, should I release this film? Like, is this appropriate? But I didn't do it. The other cool E3 thing, 2 E3 things I'll tell you, because while I remember it. Now, the other was Gary Coleman coming up to me, and he's like,
we met.
Yeah, did you see? Yes, he comes in and he's like, did you make this game? I said, yes, I did. I worked on all the combat and this stuff. He's like, this is my favorite game. If I had to go on an island, this would be the game I'd bring. And he's like, I want to buy you a birthday present. When's your birthday? And he was just going on and on and on. That was super funny. But the dark turns, I'll give you a dark turn that I probably shouldn't give you. When we did that with Blasto, we went to E3 for the launch, and that was supposed to be really cool. Literally that day, like first day, E3 hitting the floor in the morning, the market PR head came up to me and she goes, did you hear? Hear what? She goes, Phil Hartman was murdered last night by his wife. Phil Hartman's the celebrity of our game. This is day one of
voice
launch.
Of Blasto.
Yeah, and they're like, and we're like, no, hadn't heard that. And they're like, oh, also they're pulling all the marketing. There's going to be no marketing because they don't want it to look like they're capitalizing on his death. I was like, okay, this is literally just strolling into E3, like at the start.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane.
I never realized that happened right as the launch of this
launching,
Day one.
Because they were going to do a sequel and then it got canceled.
Yeah.
Well, that I knew, but that's why I thought it was
Hey.
later on.
Come on,
Like,
guys. They're still going to do a sequel, right? This is going to happen. One of these days, someone's going to slip up and we're going to get that IP and we get the band back together. We're doing Blasto. We're doing Kasai 3.
Yeah, E3 used to be, I mean, there's only a few things in my life where I'm like, oh man, those were the good old days. And that's one of the things that, like, it was a crazy circus. Like, anybody that was anybody in video games would descend on Los Angeles, and the parties and the get-togethers were insane. Every studio was trying to outspend the other studio, and the press was there. So if you were a big studio and you wanted a good review of your game, you would make sure that the alcohol flowed like water, the food was top notch, the entertainment was amazing. They'd hire professional bands to come in and play these parties. Giveaways at the end of the party, like really nice. Like, I remember at the Sony party, I got a PlayStation Messenger bag that had like 3 games in it and a movie, and a PlayStation flask with the PlayStation logo on it.
That was just the swag.
Yeah, everybody got that.
That
yeah,
wasn't
insane.
that wasn't the.
But I mean, just legendary stuff, and just the decadence of video games at the time. It was just this juggernaut of anything you could think of was at E3. Like, Tony Hawk would be doing a demo on the floor with his skate crew. And then, like, hey, there's Stan Lee signing, Marvel Ultimate Alliance poster, crazy stuff.
Yeah. Cut Chemist is over there DJing and just like putting on a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, oh, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the best things I think I got to do at E3 was, I was walking around. You mentioned Jim Mullins earlier.
Yeah.
And I was walking around with him at the Sony party. There's like Black Eyed Peas were playing outside, and I was walking with him. We went inside, and George Clinton, I believe is the guy's name. He was playing and finishing up.
He had Tommy Lee as the drummer, just as a side thing going on by the sushi over in the corner.
And Jim leans over to me. He goes, "Hey, Robin Williams is standing behind us." And I turned around, and he was. There was his wife and daughter and stuff. And I got to have a chat with him and shake his hand and talk to him and stuff and thank him for all the stuff he had done. Because, I mean, there's, I don't think that blue thing up on the wall there is an artwork. It's an artwork that my daughter made for me. It's Peter Pan, but it's a quote from Hook at the very end of the movie that Robin Williams does about life being a very big adventure. Like, living life would be a very big adventure. That had a huge impact on me because I was just graduating high school when that happened. So getting to talk to him, and what was cool was there wasn't a huge crowd around. It was just me, Jim, and him. So I got to talk to him, not his crazy manic personality thing.
Yeah.
As the people were leaving the concert, they all realized he was there, and he went and became the crazy manic.
He was on show,
Yeah. So then, but it was cool just getting to chat with him for a little bit. And that's like, to me, that was huge for some goober that's from the middle of nowhere, Indiana, as a kid. I would have never imagined.
We had that with Crispin Glover and Coolio. So we had the celebrity party, which is thing they did in LA, and they had Blasto was going to be there at the game. And then so with the dev team, we were like supposed to be going down there and going in, but they weren't letting us in for some reason, even though our names are on the list. We're like, what? Is somebody screwing with us here? But I happen to know, for some reason, this guitar player that I was helping get like to do music on some Sony games, he was friends with Coolio. He played on this guy's albums and stuff. That's kind of why I was talking to him and like getting him into the game stuff. Anyways, he's like, I bet Coolio could get us in. I was like, okay. So he's like, hey, Coolio, come on down, man. So Coolio shows up. Funny sidebar to that, I was a chapter in a book called My Posse Don't Do Homework, and that became a movie called Dangerous Minds. And Coolio did the music for that. So Coolio and I have this little weird connection that we never discussed. Nobody brought this up. He wouldn't know anyways, but anyway. So
rest in peace, Coolio.
Huh?
I said rest in peace, Coolio.
Yeah, that's true. Rest in peace,
Oh,
Coolio.
wow.
We'll pour one
Yeah.
out for our homies. And so Coolio showed up, and I had this kind of Keanu Reeves haircut at the time, and he's like, "What's up, Keanu?" And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" So he was just fucking with me, but it was funny. So he's like, "Let's go open this motherfucker." So we go in. He just takes us right through the door. Anybody who's with Coolio, not a big deal. Off we go.
You
So
go in with the
so
posse, yeah.
yeah, so we go in there, which we're supposed to be in there anyways, but now we actually are allowed in there. And and I go out in the back and I see Ozzy Osbourne's kids. And I was like, I would think I want to see Ozzy, right? And I was like, what the hell are they doing here? And they heard me, unfortunately, say that. So the daughter threw an ice cube at me, and I got hit with an ice cube. But I didn't see it, but like I think it was Eric saw that. One of the guys with us, he's like, "Hey, she just threw the ice cube at you." I'm like, whatever. So we go back in, and Jay was there. Jay goes into the bathroom because he saw Crispin Glover come in the door, and Crispin Glover goes into the bathroom. So Jay goes into the bathroom.
That's
And
not
then
creepy.
and right, and then Crispin Glover just left. Like, that was it. He came, I don't know what happened in there, but he left. That was the end of
He had to go to the bathroom.
I think Jay said he just tried to talk to him and introduce himself, but I think, yeah, no, we definitely had to go to the bathroom. But I think the fact that somebody was just talking to him bothered him so much, he just like, I'm out of here. I just can't deal with humans.
Wow.
You gotta be able to read the person if they actually want to speak to people. That's
Yes,
Yeah.
this is very true. But
At
that
least wait till
phone-
they zip up first before
Yeah.
you start. Yeah.
Don't just walk up behind them at the stall. Hey,
How you
man,
doing?
I'm a big
Shake hands.
fan.
I'm your biggest fan in their ear. Yeah.
I thought that was your hand. I'm sorry. Wipe this off.
Oh my.
But yeah, so actually that same Sony party that you were talking about, Matt, I met a Russian interrogator there. I was introduced to that guy, and it looked like this guy could be your best friend or murder you all at the same time. Like, I was so like, oh my god, this guy is intense. But he ended up telling my buddy who introduced me, he's like, that's the only guy at this party you can trust. So that was kind of, I was like,
Wow.
I think that's a pat on the back. I think that's a
It's
co-signed
funny how it
deal.
works. The first game that I ever worked on was SOCOM 2 for the
okay,
PlayStation
yeah, I remember
2.
SOCOM.
And so fast forward many years later, and I work at Microsoft, and I'm on the IVAS program, the head-mounted display for the military. And we're working with actual soldiers, and
Wow.
generals would come through, and members of the military, and they'd introduce themselves and talk to us about, their time in the military and look at our progress and give us feedback and stuff. Anyway, they bring this one guy by the one time, and he's from the actual SOCOM, like the real
Holy crap.
deal. And so they introduced him to me, and I said, "Oh, I worked on SOCOM 2." And he thought I meant SOCOM also. And he looked at me like, there's no way in hell this scrawny guy was part of SOCOM. I was like, no, it's a video game. And he goes,
War's hard on a man.
okay. That makes way more sense. Yeah. But yeah, that's my story.
That's hella funny. Yeah, I like that. I think that was on the Tom episode, I think. That was,
I told
yes.
it already. Great.
No. This is a good
That should be
twofer.
the Dingus and Dingus drinking game. Anytime Floyd
Yeah.
tells a story again, you already heard, take a drink. Yeah.
I would be so sloshed.
I do tend to tell the same stories over and over again.
No, they're good
I
stories.
apologize.
They're
They're
good.
worth telling. People should get, it's
The
like
trick is you got to make sure you tell it
marketing.
the same every time, because if it's a different thing, they're like, wait a minute, that's not how you told it last time. Yeah.
I don't know. There was a famous film director that I've been involved with. Actually, I just texted him today, and he was saying any story worth telling is worth embellishing. Because
That's right.
he was late for a thing we were both doing, and he told me this wild story about why he was late. And I was like, it seems pretty wild, man. He's like, yep, any story worth telling is worth embellishing. I'm like, all right. So I don't know what was true in his story,
That's
but
funny.
whatever.
I met Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston, the two of the 9
Wow.
of Disney's
that's
old
cool.
men. And Frank and Ollie live right next door to each other. So I went to Frank's house. He looked at my reel and gave me feedback and stuff.
Wow.
And then during the day, he's like, the one benefit of being this old is you can tell the stories however you want, and there's nobody around to tell you otherwise. So, yeah,
Don't
That's
you have the
awesome.
picture still framed right there?
I do somewhere. I don't have it in the room here with me, but
In your bright yellow shirt.
it
with
was a
your-
very yellow shirt. Yeah, it looks like a Photoshop deal because it's so vibrant and yellow. But
and
yeah.
he looks like he's 10 years old. No
I did-
beard,
well, that's why I
but-
wear the beard now too. 'Cause it helps me look older now that it's all white. But
I used to
Yeah.
really dork out. I mean, I still do. I really dork out on stories from like that story, Floyd, and like some from Eric Medina, and a lot of you guys would be like, these legends of art and animation. I sat at a
Mhm.
table with, and they told me this, or and like just to get that kind of like interaction
wild.
time. Like I don't know if people realize what incredible gold moment that is.
So in like 2002, I think it was, Ice Age had come out. It was out on DVD. So this is probably early 2003, actually. Ice Age is out on DVD, and because it came out in March 20 of 2002, so it would have been on DVD like the following year, I think. Anyway, so I write to Frank Thomas, not only Johnson, because they had a website, and I was laid off at Blue Sky, and I was freelancing for Sony and other people, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So I wrote them a big long email and said, my name's Floyd Bishop. I worked on this movie. I'm not sure what I want to do. Do you have any pointers? And Frank emailed me back, and he said, if you're ever nearby, stop by my house, and I'll take a look at your stuff.
Wow.
So I booked a flight from Connecticut to California, and we went. My buddy Tom Bazzonia that worked on Tron and we both went to his house, and I think we paid, I forget exactly. There's some consultant thing we did too with them. We were going to do a film or something maybe with them. I forget exactly, but we went to Frank's house, and he looked at my reel and he told me what he thought, and Ollie came over, and they both, once they were seated and they were comfortable, it was like they were young men, and they were just telling stories about stuff. And and then they say, and Walt would say, work on this and work on that. So like they're giving me feedback that they had heard themselves from Walt Disney, which is insane to get that firsthand from somebody that was there.
That's like tribal legendary stuff.
Yeah. And so I had my Illusion of Life book, and I asked him to sign it, and Ollie signed it first. And he had Parkinson's, so his hand was pretty shaky. So he signs the book, and he's like, I'm really sorry, this is hard to read. But Frank had his walker before I had mine. And then Frank goes, give me that book. So he takes the book. He goes, at least I can still draw. And he drew Mickey Mouse in the book. And then he passed away a couple months later. Like he didn't last too long.
That is incredible.
So it was really great. And I've worked in entertainment stuff ever since. So I didn't have to go, work in the construction yard like I thought I was going to have to.
No, man, you guys are way too talented. It's amazing, I think, how, they say water finds its own level and that kind of stuff. Like there's a reason you're in a room with guys like that, and the reason that they'd want you in that room. And wherever you're coming from in this world, it seems like you can line these things up if you just put in the effort and the time.
I always tell people I'm the worst animator in that picture, because there's no way I'm on their level. But I was just really surprised. And what I said to him, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm good enough to stay with this. And Frank said, I don't know if I'm good enough either. I was like, you guys had literally wrote the book on animation. And he said, as soon as you feel like you know everything and you've perfected it, that's when you plateau and you get stagnant. You always want to feel like you're not good enough, and that you should have that hunger in you to want to better yourself and better your skills. And that really stuck with me. That and the fact that they even took the time to talk to me. And so when I asked them to sign my book, they said, you have to sign this. And they pulled out a DVD of Ice Age for me to sign. So I wrote to my biggest fans. I get back. So when they passed away, somebody probably found it like, what the hell? Yeah. Tossed it, but yeah. But their house was gorgeous. They had original art from like Milt Kahl and Andres Deja and like all this stuff. Like his house was also built by an understudy of Frank Lloyd Wright, so it was like this beautiful home. Wow! And he's like, when I pass away, they're probably going to bulldoze this place because the land's more valuable than the house. But it was beautiful. It was in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. It was up in the mountains there. It was beautiful, beautiful property. They were super gracious. His wife made me an avocado and chicken sandwich. That's the only avocado I've ever eaten in my life. Was at Frank Thomas's house.
That's the only vegetable you've ever eaten.
Well, you give the vegetables to the chicken, then you eat the chicken. It's like you ate the vegetables.
That's right.
That's how it works.
Yeah, all that nutrition flows through.
Going with more crazy people that we've got to like go and listen to or whatever.
Yeah.
Were you with us when we went and saw Ray Harryhausen, or was that just Medina? And
I was there.
I know you were there because you got his book and had it signed. But that was crazy going getting to meet him and listen to him talking about.
I was really scared to meet Ray Harryhausen. I was really terrified to meet Ray Harryhausen because I thought he was going to hate computer animation. And that would have really bothered me if he was like, this is garbage. And when I met, I only had a little bit of chance to talk to him when he was signing my book and stuff. And I was like, I worked on Ice Age. And he's like, oh, I really enjoyed that film a lot. And you guys are so lucky you don't have to deal with the, all the distractions and stuff. And he told a story because this was at the Nomon School in LA. He was doing his book had come out, and but anyway, he told a story about I asked what was the hardest thing he ever animated, and he said Medusa, because she's got the snake body and the human upper half, and then her hair is all snakes. And stop motion, you move it a little bit, you get out of the way, you take a picture. You move it a little bit, you get out of the way, you take a picture. So he's doing that, and she's slithering toward camera, and the hair is doing this, and each snake has its own thing it's doing, and you got to keep track mentally of what you're doing. You can't see it at that time because you're filming to film, like whatever it is. So he's doing this shot, and the phone rings in his office, in his little studio thing, and he goes, he talks on the phone, he comes back, and he's like, wait, which was doing this? And he got pissed off and he ripped the phone off the wall. And that was the last that he had the phone in where he was shooting. So, distractions are a real thing.
Yeah. Well, he said back then it would take a week or two to get the film back to know if you even did the stupid thing right. So,
then on films with like characters with fur, like when he did the saber-toothed tiger so you get that chattery stuff. So you'd have to pose it and then comb it out, and then take the picture. It was like an extra step of bullshit to get. And even with that, you'd still get some chatter, and it never quite looked right. So he was a big fan of computer animation. That's what he told me anyway. So that was super cool to hear.
Yeah, I like that the line about basically never letting yourself feel like you've reached a plateau, because then you have, right? So I remember we went to, I don't know if you went to this, Matt, or maybe both of you guys did or didn't go. I don't remember. For some reason, a bunch of group from Sony or Bottle Rocket, one of the two, I don't remember, had gone up to the Wild Animal Park, and it was just like chilling around there for whatever reason. And I was on the production design side, so I'm like, la la la, we're running around the park. But Eric had his sketchbook open, and he was just constantly his hand was never ending. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, how about you enjoy the park? And he's like, I am, and he's explaining that he was just doing, he's like, this is an exercise. I think he said it was called like quick poses or something like that, where you just like whatever pose you can grab, try to draw that out as fast as you can and like get as many as you can. And like, he was just nonstop with that. It was like, it just never gave it a rest. It was like, always, how can I keep my skill going in this moment? I thought that was really impressive. In fact,
I like working with Medina. I like working with Medina a lot. He was really good.
He was the best Mortal Kombat player in the building. And I'd done a tour of duty. Like, I knew I could play, but Eric could beat me. And I was like, what's up with this guy? And then when I go down and see his animations and how he was working, we talk about, I'm like, this guy lives in the frame world. Like, now I see why he is an incredible player. Not only is he a good player, but living in that frame world and then playing fighting games, like, or any game, I think, is like taking you into the Matrix, basically. You're just got this.
You can see it. Yeah, you can see it before it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did some contract work between Daybreak and Nant Games when I was like in 2018, or was it early 2019. But I did contract work at Amazon, and it was really bizarre because
Amazon Games,
it
I
was
assume?
they're in San Diego, because it was a mixture of all the different people from Bottle Rocket, from SCEA, from SOE, all the I had worked with all of them, but they had never been like all together, and it was just a weird mishmash of this is your life.
It was like when you watch Wacky Races and all the cartoon characters from the different shows are racing. Yeah.
Yes.
That's you weren't there though, were you?
But
I was not there. No.
Medina and Jay were both there at the time.
Wow.
I was there as well.
I went down there to eat lunch. I visited San Diego, and I ate lunch with Medina and Steve, and somebody else was there too. But yeah, it was like a mix of different time periods all together. I didn't end up going down there.
Where did you guys go to eat?
We went to some place in
Yes.
Yeah,
it wasn't Pipes, was it?
Not
no,
Pipes?
it wasn't Pipes. We went somewhere else. Pipes is really good too. Shout out to Pipes. Not sponsored, but yeah,
Not sponsored.
No, but go there anyway. It's a good eat.
Yes, if you're ever in.
Actually, my go-to place when I go to visit San Diego is the Encinitas Cafe.
Oh, okay.
We would go there a lot with the kids because it's a good place. It's good food. It's not too expensive. It's right there in Encinitas on the main strip. I'm pretty
But
sure.
it also kind of looked like a hole in the wall.
It did look like a hole in the wall. That's my favorite place, dude. If you go to a place, you know it's a good place if you go on the weekend and there's elderly people eating there. Then you know it is gold because the food has got to be good, the service has got to be good, and it's got to be cheap for the elderly folks to go. So if you can find a place where there's grandmas and grandpas, if you go by on a Sunday afternoon and there's blue hair in the window, then you know that's a good place to go. Yeah.
Was that the biscuits and gravy joint? I remember there was one place there with really good biscuits and gravy.
There
it was like a side thing. They just add to whatever you wanted. You got a sandwich, have biscuits and gravy.
Caro's north of there was like that. I don't think Caro's is around anymore. It was a chain. There was one near Carlsbad, and there was one up in San Clemente. I think we ate there, Matt, when we went up to the. This is random name droppy stuff. When we went to the filming of The Price is Right.
Oh yeah,
breakfast at Caro's.
That was so much fun.
I just remember hearing
that was an SOE.
Yeah,
that was an SOE group, and that was so much fun. And our buddy
Casey Helms got up on stage. Yeah,
and she made it to the Showcase Showdown.
She did. There for a while, we had gifts that we would share around the office of her going, "Nice," when they showed. We got to get her on the show.
Oh man! And if you would get Medina on there, I think that would be quite.
I would love to get Medina on here. He's kind of a private, quiet guy. He's hard to get a hold of.
Tough to get.
It's easier to find the A team than it is to get a hold of Medina. Yeah.
I was like trying to get a hold of him for like 6 years, I think it was, and I finally got a response for some reason, but then that was that. There was like this little blip on the radar, and then just disappeared.
After I moved up here to Seattle, I was in Bellevue and I was eating lunch and I walked across the street and I literally bumped into Eric Medina. We were crossing the street in different directions. I was like, what are you doing up here? Because, but he was at Sucker Punch, I think, for a while.
Yeah.
And that's where I ran into him. So
that's insane.
I'm not sure where
Small world.
I'm not sure where he's at now. I don't know if he's still with Jay at the new place Jay's at, doing the Fortnite stuff, but I don't know.
I always thought of Medina as like the little thing growing out of the side of Jay, like open your mind.
That's
Quaid,
why he doesn't respond to you.
Together. No, I mean those guys are like joined at the hip everywhere they went. It was like a package deal.
It's true,
which that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying anything bad about it.
No,
but
I just remember him being drawn on the whiteboard with. We always had a whiteboard at the different studios we're at, and like our buddy Jeff Mergart, the one we talked about, that does amazing concept art. He could do caricatures of you. He could just meet you and know whatever you are self-conscious about, like telepathically or something, and he'd be able to draw that and make it. It's like so. But I remember him drawing him and Medina as Augie Doggy and Grape Ape, like on the van, and so Medina was in driving the
That's
truck.
funny.
But
man.
Yeah, Medina had that silver car when we worked there, and he had the screen rigged so you could watch movies. Yeah. And I remember going up the 405 and he's watching the Iron Giant on his car. I was like, shouldn't you be looking at the road? Like, can we?
Oh, dude, that was the car that you and I couldn't even fit in the back seat. And we're those short people.
I know. So it was cramped.
I drove to Vegas in that car with him, and I think it was the Dice Awards or something like that we were driving up to, and he's like, "Come on, man, let's ride together." And I was like, "Oh man, too boring. I'm just gonna fly out there." He's like, "No, I need someone in the car. Come on, man." And he's like, he convinced me that we would do this because he could set it up so that I could play Tekken in the car. So I was like, all right, if you can rig that, I'm in. I'll drive. I can do 2 hours on Tekken, no problem.
Wow. Cool. Man. Well, we're at an hour
and 20.
We should probably wrap it up pretty soon. What do you any closing words or any words of wisdom for people trying to get into the industry or thinking about?
Wait, what was Tom's record so far? What do I got to beat?
I think we got him beat now.
Do we have him beat now? I think I have 5 minutes to beat him, but I'm not positive about that. But anyway, I will wrap up by giving you the shortest synopsis of what happened to me after Bottle Rocket that I possibly can. Let's see how quickly I can rattle this off. And maybe there's something wise in there. Probably not. Who knows? Okay, so I left there when I think you guys, same reason. You're like, hey, they're shutting down essentially, or they were doing half pay, and everyone's like, I got a life, I can't afford this. So I was selling my house in San Diego at the time. I was going to get basically like $500,000 from it free and clear. So I'm like, I'm good for a while. I can ride on that and chill. So, set the house for sale. I had a friend that was working at a small studio that just kind of does little like port work basically up in Emeryville. Gosh, I don't remember what the heck they were called. I just kind of went up to help them out. So I helped them get their production tight and get their product shipped. And then I helped do this Mech Assault series game. I got to write the story for that, which was fun with WizKids.
That's cool.
WizKids actually just said, go ahead and write it. And I wrote it and they read it and said, this is good. You can keep it. We don't, no notes. I was like, awesome.
Wow.
Microsoft messaged me and said that my hack system was the best hack system they've ever had in the entire series. So I was like, all right, I'll take that. That sounds good. And then, and then I ended up getting fired from there. Basically, the team was like really inexperienced, and I was extremely unhappy. And you could feel it. I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm used to working with such amazing talent like you guys, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't want to disparage anybody, but I was like,
Uh,
I had to explain what a waypoint was to the programmers.
Yeah,
And
it's tough.
I was like, I don't think I can deal with this. And anyways, we got it out there. I helped the production. I did the design so that it was like you could really just easily code it, and we did good for what we had in hand. Anyways, but so there was rifts there, and so then I got let go, and it was great timing for me because I just sold the house. I got the cash, and the reason I left when I left or when I left Bottle Rocket, I wanted to start my own thing. And this other studio I was helping out was just kind of in the way of that, I kind of felt like. But I
Mm.
felt like I'm going to help my friend. I'm going to do this. So I did it, completed my work, left there, and started working on what I wanted to be Judo Baby. And I wanted to not have the same problem that Bottle Rocket had, which is somebody else owns my IP. And if they take the ball and go home, I got to shut down. I'm in trouble. So my thought
Yeah.
was I'm going to raise private equity. I'm going to have private investors and we're going to own our own IP. And then when we go to talk to a publisher, we'll have paid for most of the product. So we can keep much more of the royalties and control our IP. So this is what I had in mind. It took me several years to kind of like get all the right designs, and I focus tested with friends from Sony that were high level in PR, marketing, sales. Alan Becker, guys like that, Kelly Flock, who knew their stuff. We honed it down to this one product, which was dog football. We're like, that has the widest appeal. There were personal reasons. I thought this is going to bring a lot of gamers together, like core people and non-core people can kind of enjoy this product together. Because if you're not a football guy, it's really not that much football. But if you're a hardcore football guy, there's enough football you kind of get it. We did some behind the scenes stuff to kind of like nerf it in a way, but since they're dogs, you can kind of get away with it. It's like, well, it's a dog. So yeah, you drop the ball. It's an interception. I don't know. It's a freaking dog here, right? So you didn't feel cheated. But little Jimmy could maybe win the game. We're kind of backhanding it behind the scenes, but everyone has fun, feels the exciting moments. That's what I was going for, and everyone decided this is the product to do it with. Somehow I was able to raise $200,000 every month for 2 years. I had an old
Whoa.
family. Yeah, I had an old family friend who put in the first 100,000. He said, if your parents will put in 100K, I'll put in 100K to get you guys started. Small studio, small team, get the first demo together. And so my parents said, well, you never finished college. We had set money aside for that. So I just got my AA and then I got hired at Sony. I was like, Sony or school? I'm finishing at Sony.
Yeah.
Uh,
Might as well.
right? Some like multi-million dollar productions, and I'm get to ride on this thing. I'm like, forget this. So see you, school. At any rate, so they put in 100K. So I had 200,000. Got like 8 or 9 guys in a room. Started working on the first demo, and that first time that ball flew in the air, and the little guy's like, "Oh, go get it!" Yeah, throws the ball, and the little doggies are running. Little doggies are running, and everyone's watching the ball, and the team, and the doggy catches it for the touchdown. Everyone's like, "Yeah!" The whole room erupted, and I was like, That's got something, right? If people feel that way when this moment occurs, we got something. So we developed that. I was able then to start through my uncle who like had raised money before, done a lot of different things. Not really an uncle, family friend, but we call him an uncle.
Mhm.
Gold watch, gold Rolex dude, driving the Mercedes. He and I
Uh-oh.
worked together about how to run presentations, how to raise funds. I talked to some lawyers, and basically we raised $200,000 every. I did an event where I was trying to raise 400. I had 800,000 in before the event even started. And then so I was
Wow.
like, yeah, exactly. So I started learning all this crazy stuff about raising capital. But by the end of it, or the middle of it, they changed the laws about investing. So Floyd, if let's say if you invested in my company, and then I came back to you, I'm like, Floyd, things are going well. Can you put in another 50,000 or whatever? And you're like, okay, I want to do it. The law had changed that you legally couldn't invest in your own company anymore. They
Wow.
removed this qualifier that was your primary residence is what they took out of the qualifier. So it had to be based on salary alone. You had to be making $1 million a year or some stupid thing like that. So at any rate, I had to go to the White House and I met with the advisor to President Obama on business and economics. And we fought for what became the Jobs Act, which allows everybody to invest in private companies. It took us like 6 years to get that through. But in the
Wow, I had
meantime,
no idea.
yeah, in the meantime, I mean, who thinks you have to go to the White House just so you could keep your company going, right? So, but
Mr. Mueller goes to Washington.
totally. I mean, it was insane. Sitting there with Dianne Feinstein, and she looks at my business card. She's like, "Oh, judo baby, ha ha ha, that's funny." You know, it's like this is a weird scenario. This is all just wrong, but it worked out right. And at any rate, so I kind of was like, I can't keep wringing money out of people because they can't even invest anymore. Like this, the game is rigged so much against me. I feel like I got to tap out.
Yeah.
And I was literally like, you know, by the end of it, we brought on Bill Gardner, who was the ex-CEO of IDOS and Capcom. He joined me to be our chief strategy officer. He's like, I'm not going to CEO, Dan. You have to deal with that shit. I've already done my tour of duty on that one. He's like, but I'll advise you and blah, 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 blah. And he was basically going to build out a publishing wing. So now I not only need to pay for dev, I got to pay for publishing. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's insane. I'm like, when we talk to publishers, the deals were so bad. And Bill would point out, so the reason the deal's bad is because they can charge you anything they want on marketing and you have no visibility into that. So they can always tell you that they haven't made a dime off of this and there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do about it. And they can just run
Oh,
you into the
wow.
ground. Yeah. So I was like, cool. So he's like, so we need to be our own publisher and that's how we'll handle this. I just needed to come up with the money for it. So I was able to get enough money to get us to the finish line. Finished product. And I can't even believe I managed to pull that off. But by the time we were shipping, I had no money to go to market. But Bill was on the board of GameStop. And I promise I'll try to wrap this up quick here. But
No, keep going.
as the board of GameStop, I know now we're to the meat and potatoes. So as the board of GameStop, he's able to get 70% of our inventory into GameStop. I'm like, oh, finally, because this is disc-based stuff. Like, you know, back in the day, I'm like, this has actually got to go to shelves. And he got us into GameStop. I'm like, oh, we're saved, right? We got units. We're going to GameStop. I can't afford to market, but at least people will see it on the shelf and go, Mommy, I want the doggy game, right? And they'll be able to buy it. Well, I went to GameStop. Where's my game? And we called GameStop and Bill's like, yeah, where's our game? And they're like, oh, you want shelf space. So that's going to be 70,000 per territory. We got about 7 territories. And I was like, I've got to pony up hundreds of thousands of dollars to get on the shelf. I'm like, I'm done. I'm tapped. And then so they ship the inventory back and they put stickers on it. And they say, once it's stickered, it's no longer allowed to go to any of the retailers. So I was like, wow, I am just buried. Now, Scholastics in schools that has magazines and sells games and books and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They were selling a lot of our product through Scholastic, which was great. And we got some units into Target, and then some guy was putting it on his Amazon, some other distributor, what have you. So we were getting some units out there, but overall, no one had heard of the game. No one had seen the game. A big mistake I made was Bill was used to, $50 million budgets. I didn't have that for him. So when he wanted to put things on billboards and magazines, like we were in the Super Bowl halftime promo ad stuff, like in the foldouts for the people in the seats, it really wasn't good advertising and marketing for us, because he was thinking at a high level, which is no fault of his. That's his world. But I was living at a low level, indie guy level, and I didn't know what I was doing either. So we really dropped the ball. That's why people say, hey, it's 10 years later, I just heard about your game.
So if people want to get it, how do they get it?
Right. So you can go
on
on eBay and I'll ship you a Wii copy. When you order it from Judo Baby Pet Sports League, it's coming literally from me, or I'm calling my mom to send it out. And they can also go on Steam. There was a kind of a well-known industry programmer, Becky Heineman, and she was nice to me. She took the game and put it onto Steam for me, just help me out. So you can get it on Steam as well. And there's a free demo with a fully playable, full level demo on Steam.
Let me
You said
share my
you can get a
screen here. Hold on
copy
a
of-
second.
You can get a copy for the Wii. Is that what you said?
Do you have a Wii, you guys?
I do have a Wii.
I'll send you a copy.
got
Just email me your address and bam.
Awesome.
So this
Yeah,
I
is
am not a football. I am not a football guy at all. But
I'm
I
not
would
either.
play-
I'm not
This
a
is the
football or a
Steam
dog
page.
guy.
So it released August 16th of 2011.
That sounds right. I think that's
All
when I went
reviews,
into the hospital with
very
my panic attack.
positive.
Yeah,
Very positive reviews. That's better than
That's
most
good.
games on Steam.
IGN gave it a 7.5, I think.
That's cool.
And most of these guys didn't even realize how you control the quarterback. Like they just assumed this was like shovelware, so they didn't even bother to look that there's depth in there and there's real things. But later on that started to catch on, and so the haters kind of rolled off fast. And then the people that wanted to like enjoy this for what it is saw that there's a lot more than they expected and found it was
Hey, there's a
pretty
guy
fun.
from Dancing with the Stars.
Jerry
That
Rice,
shows you
yeah.
how much I know about football.
Dude, I
No,
didn't know
I know.
either. This is horrible, but like, so I'm not a football guy at all. I just had tested on Madden. I thought these mechanics are fun, and if we make it in a different way, it could be more accessible
Yeah.
for more gamers. And see, these mechanics are actually enjoyable even if you're not a football guy. But then as we developed the game, one of our investors was really good friends with Jerry Rice, just happenstance. And he's like, "Oh, Jerry Rice is going to come by your studio." I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." So I get this, there's the doorbell at the studio, ding dong. And someone that's down the hall is like, "Hey, Jerry Rice is here for you." Like,
Wow.
okay, sure he is. All right, send him on in. Jerry Rice comes through, and I was like, "Oh my God, for real?" And then he wanted to invest in the company. He's like, "Dogs, family." He's like, "That is my life. Football." He's like, I'm all about this." And we met with this guy, Al Nielsen, who was like behind Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. He was like the marketing guy behind that, and whatever. He came in, and he was an advisor for us at the time, and he's like, "Don't take Jerry's money. Make him a name and a likeness in the game and give him equity for everything he's doing. You know, he signs 100 game balls or whatever. This is equity. He's name and likeness is that much equity. He does a live event, this much equity." So we paid $0 to Jerry, and just gave him
Wow.
equity for each little piece of thing that he contributed to the product, which was actually a lot. And it turned out like he invited me to like his Hall of Fame inauguration and stuff like that. So there I'm sitting at
Wow.
the
Super cool.
table with like DeBartolo and all these legendary people, and surrounded with like the big, silver ball things they have, whatever those are called, and drove
Trophies, I think. I think those are trophies.
drove my parents insane because they're like lifelong 49er fans. And they're like my dumbass son who like they'd take me to a game, and 5 minutes in, I'm like, "I finished my malt. Can we go home?" Right. So I'm like keys to the castle. I'm like, this guy, what a waste of time and effort to have Dan in the middle of this stupid thing.
Oh man. Well, I think some of our buddies, like Steve Mergart we had on and Jeff Mergart, I think they did some concept art for you
Oh my
way
God.
back in the day too, right?
And
So
Floyd, everybody like that I could reach
I'm
out
trying to remember when I
pitched
worked.
in.
I think I did some rigging and some animation for stuff, but I
You-
don't remember when it was.
So you were like literally the reason we were able to raise any money at all. I don't know if you realize that, but
Oh, well, that's good.
I probably should have told you that a while ago. And maybe send
just give him a copy of the game; it'll be fine.
Can do. No, so Floyd, back in the day when I was just thinking of the concept of this and I couldn't afford programming and all that stuff, I was just like, okay, well, let's do a demo video that shows what dog football would be. We had a friend record the voice of McCready throwing the football. "Hey, my doggies." So he recorded the video. I had some other friends from Sony that did audio, doing audio for it. Chuck Carr did some audio for it, did sound effects and music. And then Floyd, you animated. I think you did do some of the concept, then you animated the characters, like the scenes, the actual, and rendered the video.
I think I did. I think now that you're saying
Did
it,
I do the
I think you modeled some stuff, Matt,
Yeah.
and then I rigged and animated some of the stuff.
I think it was Jeff or Steve
or
Merkart.
Steve Merkart did maybe.
He did the modeling and rigging, and I think you did some of it,
Okay.
maybe tweaking some things. And then I think I had this guy, Mark, a friend of mine, who got tutelage from guys like you early on in my early Sony days, and then went to San Jose State and cobbled together a bunch of students. And they all worked on the assets as well, but they were kind of a support line, and you guys were also kind of doing high level stuff and helping coach them. And so through that whole group of like students and you guys, the professionals, we were able to cobble this demo video together. And it literally says in the beginning, it's like, Bishop animation, and then it would do dog football,
cool.
which was the early. Yeah, I was like, this is awesome. To me, it was awesome.
That's cool.
Other people probably didn't know, but I was like, the fact that you were on this to me was incredible. All you guys.
That's cool.
So it was a total group effort, and that's how that demo got done. And I used that demo video along with the whole like business plan and financial projections and all the businessy stuff as a way to get people to invest in the product.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was freaking amazing.
Awesome.
Oh, so
Go check out
I will
Dog
wrap that
Football.
up. I will wrap that
Yeah.
up with, so now we're doing that essentially again, same model. I've been bugging Floyd with some stuff. Floyd, you did an animated logo for Dino Dogs VR for me. I've
Yeah.
got some students again, San Jose State, plus a guy Mark from before, and we're working on a demo video for Dino Dogs football, which is I want it to be VR because I think it's so cool seeing these Dino Dogs bearing down on you and you got to throw the ball. But we're also doing cat and dog soccer. That's on the pipeline. And I just met with these guys at GamesBeat, an industry show just the other day. And it's a guy who's in the like games for good kind of a space. And there's a lot of things about what we do that I didn't talk about that is really about that. Like we give a portion of every sale to like some different pet rescue support systems, and there's stuff we give out to
Very cool.
STEM live events we did with Jared Rice to give money to those people who competed in our games, sponsors. So a lot of goodwill stuff around this. That's what this fund is all about. And I just randomly bumped into this guy and invited him to a dinner that I was having with all these industry old schoolers. And I'm like, you look like the kind of guy that should come to this dinner. And he came to it and we started talking, and it's like we're aligned really well, till the check's written and in the bank, you don't know. But it looks like we might be able to move forward on that. And I also wrap quick with also this too. Dwayne Dunham's the guy I talked about before. He worked on One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest, Raiders of the Lost Ark, some Star Wars. He's directed and edited for Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, David Lynch. He wrote a script with dog football as the heart of it. And so I told this guy who I met the other day is from both film world and game world. So I told him about the script too, and he's like, I love all this. Let's keep talking. I think we can move this thing forward and revive it. So 10 years later, I've come out of my PTSD tragedy of like this insane life of trying to raise all this money and keep everyone's lives going for years, and getting beat to shit from GameStop and all that stuff. After 10 years, kind of freelance consulting for other people, I'm like, feel like I'm finally ready to push forward again. Disney offered
Very cool.
$60 million to buy out the IP long ago because they think it's worth $1 billion in their hands, but not in mine. Then they're right. So I have to prove them wrong that if not just me, but some other cool people, we can get there. So I feel like I'm finally, after 10 years, ready and back into that space to move forward. I don't know if that's an inspiring last word, but it's inspiring myself.
That's awesome.
Hey, that just shows all the crazy ups and downs we go in this industry.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
the
you
weird
guys,
things that happen.
the last
So-
episode with you guys, I hadn't heard half of that stuff about what you guys went through, and it was insane.
Oh yeah,
It's hard to not turn it into a sob story. All these,
Hey, we're still laughing.
we are still
Yeah.
laughing. Yeah,
We'll have
I'm
the
laughing
last
all the way
laugh.
to the bank. I don't have any
That's
money there.
right.
I just go in and laugh and then leave. But yeah,
Hey, my dad passed away a few years ago or whatever. He said you got to keep laughing, or I mean,
Yeah.
what's the point? So
Yeah.
he's like always
Gotta have a good time.
keep laughing at life. That's right. So
cool. All right. Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to check out dog football or anything else, we'll put a link down below.
Yeah.
If you have any questions for Dan, leave them in the
Send them
comments
to Floyd.
or send them to
Send
me.
him to Floyd.
Send them,
We'll
actually,
send him to him.
send them to pingus@dingusandingus.com
Nice.
is the email address.
That's
The only
right.
thing I've been getting from there so far is people writing to help us optimize our website, which we're not interested in. But yeah, anyway,
Like and subscribe it.
like and subscribe, share, ring that bell for updates, all that stuff. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome, man. Thank you, guys. That was awesome.
Thank you, Dan.
The Dingus and Dingus podcast.
Game over.